I'm picturing some sort of sexy Butterfree. I don't know why.
Wow.
I don't know where that's coming from.
Gotta catch them all.
Yeah, right?
No, you just need one.
Not if you're poke romantic.
Why you gotta be this way?
Or you just find yourself a Ditto and then you have everything you could ever want.
Oh god. Oh
Unless
god.
you want multiples,
Oh,
in which case, multiple dittos. And they stare at you with their cold, dead eyes.
Ooh.
I don't think enough people are sexually into Wobbuffet as they should be.
But plenty are into Mudkips, though. We know that much.
Oh,
Dirty,
Jesus
dirty
Christ.
birds.
I did play the new Pokemon, and I did, in fact, drop off the Wobbuffets at the sex clinic.
Nice.
Because he wanted a why not?
That's right. Yeah, there was a reason. I didn't get one. I just got more Wobbuffets, which was weird.
Then you
That's
can have
fine.
your pillow party with 15 Wobbuffets, and they're all like, Wobbuffet.
You're like, shut up, you're a pillow.
I'm so uncomfortable right now.
I don't know why, but I pictured Dan surrounded by Diglets and Doug Trios.
The Hanson version?
Yeah, and like a single Geodude in the corner, just like, oh, Geodude. Just watching everything happen.
Jesus.
Slamming his fist into the
Rocks
ground.
off.
Getting his rocks off.
Geodude, use Rock Slide.
You proud of that one?
It's not very effective.
Are you? Are you real proud of that one? God damn.
Okay, we watched a movie.
Hey, I'm Joe.
I'm Ken.
I'm Andrew.
I'm Dan.
And we're the Rewinders Podcast, rewinding movies to see if they hold up. And this week, we disappeared under our beds with the movie Little Monsters.
Boy, did we ever.
Oh boy, did we.
That's a whole movie that exists.
It sure as hell is.
I'm assuming no one has any history with this movie.
I'm pretty sure my sister had a VHS, and I remember her having that, and that's about it.
I don't remember, like, I could have sworn that I had at least rented this movie once. I don't remember this movie at all.
I always remember seeing it at, like, the video rental stores, and I always hated it. I hated the cover. I wanted nothing to do with it just based off literally the cover alone. And I know that's not how you do movies. You don't judge a movie by its cover, same like a book, but my God, every time I saw the cover with Howie Mandel and Fred Savage, I scoffed and walked away. So I've held off on watching this movie for 32 years. Here I am. Hello.
Trust your instincts sometimes.
Yeah? Well, not when you have a podcast.
No, exactly.
Then you gotta fight your instincts sometimes. So the last time I watched this was when it came out to like video or on HBO or something after it was released. I did not see this in the theater. Thank God. Yeah, all I remembered is that I saw it. I remembered some details about it, and that I may have watched it with my brother. Those are like the only things that pop out in my head. And what it did do, though, when I tried to think about my memories and experiences with it back then, was that I kind of thought about the fact that my father is always, in my history, was a key driver to watching so many movies. So like this wasn't a movie I sought out as a child to watch. Like many movies I ended up watching when I was a kid, this was kind of served up to me by my father, who was just like, hey, there's this movie I saw at the box on the wall in the movie rental place, and I thought it would be good. It's got this guy in it. You like Fred Savage? And it's like, Dad, everybody loves Fred Savage at this point in time. That's not a big anything. It just was one of those cases where, why did my father keep serving up movies for my brother and I, and possibly my sisters too? I don't really remember. You know, and it must be because he was interested in our reactions to everything. And honestly, I think he honestly really just loved watching movies. And he still does, because he'll still randomly buy movies. And I'm just like, Dad, why are you buying movies without knowing anything about them? Watch them first.
See, in here, I would have figured it was a masturbation test. See how you reacted to the man's best friend scene.
Oh my God, we have so much to talk about, Ken. So much to talk about.
I was not old enough to get that kind of reference at that time.
He was just making sure.
Oh my god.
He didn't know that was a joke in the movie. Come on.
Yep.
All right. If you have not seen this film, the fast two-gun, pull from the hip pew, pew, summation is... Kid moves. Kid doesn't like his life after moving because, boo-hoo, I have no friends. While he actually does have friends if he actually cared to engage with them. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
So, whine, whine, cry, cry. Life is so hard as a little
because
kid.
Because he can't stay up late and eat his peanut butter and onion sandwiches.
And watch half-naked ladies on cable access. I do feel for the kid because his parents are fighting. And I can get that. That's a very awkward and yucky feeling place to be as a child. Except for that process turns into possible divorce, and he feels like he has no friends, so he captures a monster that is freaking out his little brother, and they become best buds going around town scaring other kids and making sure they take the blame for all the things the monsters are doing late at night while they sleep. In the end, the Fred Savage character almost becomes a monster himself by doing these things. That freaks him out. So then, because he's physically affected by his choices in life, then he decides to become a better person, because if he doesn't, he'll become a monster. So fear of punishment is the only reason to be a good person in this movie. And he becomes a better person. He shuts down the big baddie and then gets back to the real world so they don't turn into monsters. And he saved his little brother in the process. Wow, that's glossing over a lot, but that's the quick summation of the movie.
One might argue that fear of punishment isn't the reason. It may be the driver that he starts looking for, but one might argue that friendship and saving his little brother is what made him not want to be a monster. Mind you, his arm disappearing was the thing, like, no, my arm disappeared. Why would I want that in my life? So it was the main driver for pushing him. Yeah, never mind. Fuck that kid. They kick off the movie and you're like, oh, peanut butter and onion sandwich. That's disgusting. You really are a monster. This movie is definitely about you.
Yeah, no. For me specifically, this reminds me of Home Alone. And then I was shocked. Within 5 fucking minutes, there's Marv staring at me, and I'm like, oh, what? And then Buzz comes up later. It's like,
Wet Bandit.
What is the coincidence?
That's who that... Okay.
It was Buzz, yeah.
Holy shit.
It was Marv and Buzz in this film. It's like, wait, what? I thought that this looked like Home Alone just specifically to me, and all of a sudden, poof. It's like sometimes the universe rewards you like that. I had a good chuckle.
Now, Marv is the father
yes,
in this movie?
and I will go out on record saying he makes the case for the absolute worst, most unlikable movie dad in any movie, TV series, or anything I've ever seen. He is the most unlikable dad.
Is it because he bounces around from being like a total jackass to his son to being like, you know, kind of a caring father?
Threatening death to his son? Like, yeah, just, he's not a good dad.
He's also not a good husband. He's not a good person in this movie, and you get the glimpses of where he has potential to be a good person, where he's trying to get people to like him again. But in between those, you just have glimpses of him just being a terrible person, and it's just ugh.
For me, it's the long cut of him walking into Fred Savage's real life brother, Corey Matthews, because that was another one that was shocked me. It was like, oh man, is that young Corey Matthews? And it's like, yes it is. Yeah, him walking into his room with a flashlight hissing, that made me hate him more than anything. That was for me the seal of the deal. I couldn't stand his character.
You know, they wanted to serve the purpose of making you understand his character as fast as possible, as easy as possible for a child.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, no kidding. It's like no nuance whatsoever with that dad.
I ran over your bike and destroyed it. You're grounded forever and blah, 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 chores and a piece of shit, right? Kid. Just it's like, what the hell?
It's a detached garage, and it's a very small garage door. He definitely was at fault for running over that bike because he would have had to walk past it in order to see it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because there's definitely no side door. You can't walk into that garage without seeing the bike first.
Absolutely, that's a very valid point. That's on him. That's entirely on him.
But he does have a way of blaming everyone else for his problems.
Yes, he does.
Which you can kind of get that out of Fred Savage, too, a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
At least Fred Savage washes his hair in this movie. That father, good God, that's greasy hair.
Yes,
on that,
his hair reminded me of like Michael's hair in season 1 of The Office. It's just slicked back, nasty, pulled apart. Just okay, so we're getting a little out in the weeds here. Is there anything people have that they liked about the movie? I know. It feels that way. It's like I'm trying desperately in my head to think of anything. I guess
I do have some things. I like the underground.
Yeah.
The underground's pretty cool.
It's a very cheap set because they use a lot of shadows to hide nothing.
And pallets. Somebody had a friend in the pallet business.
Yeah, exactly. But it works.
It does.
It's this very void that looks semi-interesting, and I thought it was a nice way in a small budget to develop this little underground, under-the-bed world. I thought it was pretty nice. Plus, they splurged on fast food for everybody on
that
set.
giant table, absolutely, yeah.
Oh, you mean like that the time Trump had that team?
Hamburgers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Table full of fish fillets and
This
shit.
is what you eat, right? No, sir, this is what you eat all the time, sir.
Yep. So there's a lot of, I was just sitting here thinking about all the different things we saw in the underground that you see in a lot of different other movies after this, like Hook with the baseball scene, with the bad guys trying to indoctrinate the young child by having fun. And you got the weird guy with no neck from, is that Double
Are
Dragon?
you talking about Rick Duncan?
Snick.
Yeah.
Yeah, Snick.
Well, his real life name is Rick Duncan because I thought it was Andy Richter at
Oh,
first, and I had to look it up.
Yeah.
That is not Andy
It was
Richter.
bugging me too. I had to look it up because I knew his face even through all the prosthetics, and I recognized him from The Burbs, which is another 80s film with Tom Hanks in him. He plays one of his neighbors, but yeah, definitely a recognizable face even through all the prosthetics.
Yeah, prosthetics. Straight from Beetlejuice.
Oh my god.
So are you saying, Ken, that this movie set up other movies that they kind of took little ideas from this movie?
Yeah, I guess that was where I was trying to go with that. It was like there are some interesting ideas buried in this movie that, if put out there correctly, could be fleshed out to something interesting and engaging, which I guess the baseball game was actually kind of fun, where you, as a child, that would be amazing. You just hit a baseball. Actually, as an adult, that sounds fucking amazing. Just bash things with baseballs.
I'm gripping my desk right now, desperately trying not to bring up negatives, because I have negatives for every scene you guys are talking about.
Also, the cleanup of that would just be awful.
But they don't clean it up. They put it back in the kids' houses and blame them for it.
Oh, that's right. Well, it's still a lot of cleanup, but
we
still.
take the shit, you break the shit, we put the shit back, and I can't remember what else he says.
That's right. That was the point of that game. It seems like a lot of wasted time when it's just easier to push it over and break it, but I suppose you cause a lot of ruckus that way and draw attention to yourself. Less time for more shenanigans.
You hit the nail on the head for me with this. Like, there are a lot of detail things that I wish they would have, like, more than just sprinkled into the movie. Like, it feels like this movie had a lot more story to tell than what we were given.
Which is crazy to think about at an hour and 41 minutes.
It felt so much longer. Oh my god.
And when I paused the movie to go get a snack halfway through, I was shocked to realize I still had an hour left. And I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, I wasn't even halfway.
I did like Boy. I thought that character was good as that's the guy up in the tower, and you don't get to really see him, and he looks like a little boy at first, but then when you actually see him, you see it's like a 20-year-old, I guess. But his makeup is cool when you first see him with his outfit and the personality he gives, until his face comes off, and then he's just stupid.
I completely agree. With the way he looked, the back face, being ringed in. It looked good. Good makeup, and then it just becomes this really schlocky, cheesy, scary face.
It's not even you can't it's not scary.
That doesn't move well
It's
anymore.
not scary.
Has a little bit of dangling flesh.
He has to stand perfectly still because it'll fall off or something.
Yeah.
Yet again, another great idea. The human face covering up a monster face. That's another great idea. I'm sure they used in other movies. Actually, they might have stolen that one from Beetlejuice.
Maybe Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. I mean, you got Voldemort living on the back of Quill's head.
Spoilers!
Or Quirrell's head. Professor Quirrell.
You bastard!
And you know, that's how they introduce the back. Like that's how they introduce Boy being weird. Like they pan around the back of his head, and it's like cinched in the back. And you look at the back there, you're like, that's
That's not right. That's not
He's got
hair.
a head wound.
that's a little gross.
You might want to get that looked at, Mr. Boyd.
Boyd.
Yeah, it's boy.
I meant boy.
Get it right. I have one thing, and it's funny for me because this falls in both camps, but it's something I can at least, I don't know. Howie Mandel gives 100%, if not more, in this film with his acting. He's just bouncing off the fucking walls. He is just crazy in this film, tossing all of his power into
I
it.
kind of want to know what kind of cocaine he had, and if he still got some, is he gonna share?
Well, maybe it was the latex. He's crawling out of his skin because he gave a review he gave an interview talking about when he was doing this film. It actually made him. He has OCD, and I guess this really made him paranoid about latex for the rest of his life, to the point where he actually stopped using condoms and everything else. Like he just couldn't stand the feeling. He said when you're in latex prosthetics for that long, filming for that long, and you mix it with sweat, what do you think that does to you?
Itchy.
So he was terrified of latex.
Oh,
But
Oh God, yeah, that totally makes sense. And actually, the way he's acting then actually makes a lot of sense too. That's like a high energy redirection of your anxiety.
yeah, so this is where it's on the fence for me. I hated his acting, but I'll be damned if he didn't act at 110%. Like, he threw a lot into his performance. I still hated it, but he threw a lot into his performance, and I have to give him respect for that. I think it was amplified by the second half that I need to talk about in the bad portion, but we'll get to that.
don't think there's much left in the good to say. Like I got nothing that you guys haven't already said. I liked the character designs for some of the monsters. I liked that the title is a dead giveaway for a huge plot point that they don't like directly shine light on till 3/4 of the way into the movie.
You're a movie.
I mean, I am. Wait, maybe.
Always.
Andrew, I think that means he gives you the rights. I think you finally got the rights.
Yay! I'm gonna make a biography about Dan.
Didn't give you any rights, and you know my rate.
But Boy gets what he wants.
No, he doesn't.
And if Boy asks you for a favor, you should take that as a compliment. But my knees hurt. That's not all that's gonna hurt.
What the fuck?
Should we get into the bad stuff?
I would just like to say I like the exchange between Snick and Maurice, where Maurice is like, "Oh, don't make me angry or upset.
Oh yeah.
Bad things happen when I get upset." And then something silly happens, and Snick is like, "What was that?" He's like, "Well, that's what happens when I get upset."
I did like that.
I laughed really hard
Yeah.
at that.
It was the best line exchange.
It was
of the
delivered
movie.
very well, and I did laugh.
Yes, it was a good chuckle. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, I'm going over my notes to see if there's anything else positive I could bring up.
Positives. I like any movie with child traps. Home Alone,
Goonies.
Goonies, yeah. Whimsical traps that usually don't generally work is great.
Like having enough bulbs to light up all of Yankee Stadium and making a flashlight that's somehow
Yeah.
dim as hell. But hey, it's bright.
And yet him being so bad in school because he doesn't necessarily care about the school. It definitely shows a difference in the way people go through education. If you can present them with something that they're interested in, like saving their little brother versus, a grade, you get a lot more accomplished if you're interested. And you see that he's actually got a very good aptitude about science and stuff like that because he's making these crazy inventions, soldering all sorts of light bulbs together to make a light bulb suit, which is very much Dynamo from Running Man.
Having a solid grasp on photography
Oh yeah, and making flip books.
and making
Yeah.
mount your Polaroid upside down, set it on a timer. You could make a little movie. Yeah.
My last positive of the movie is just something I saw that made me chuckle. It has no pretense to anything of being a good movie or a bad movie, but so at the end when they're trying to stay ahead of the sun, they use road signs to show where they are, and the road signs are all big cities that kids have heard of before, like New York, Philadelphia, Chicago, LA, and there were some in between.
Appleton?
But yeah, Chicago's sign had Appleton underneath it. I'm like, there must have been some guy from Wisconsin on this crew that just slipped that in there, because no kid knows where Appleton is.
I can't believe I missed that.
Yep.
Someone from Wisconsin was working on this film.
For sure.
That's amazing. I missed that. I guess I'm going to have to go back and watch this movie just for that.
Don't do it.
Oh,
Don't
no.
do it, Ken.
Oh, no.
Don't do it.
So let's unleash the beast. Let's talk about some of the not so great things in this
Oh my
movie.
god.
Let's talk about the fact that this is supposed to be a family film. They swear so much.
The word shit is used so liberally throughout this film that it makes the
Damn
fucking Beetlejuice look like
bitch.
nothing.
What else? Oh, I started writing them down and I just stopped.
It is jarring. You're right, Dan. It's jarring. And like I said, it's Beetlejuice had the F-bomb, and I've been using that as like a golden standard of, wow, this is the 80s where a PG film had an F-bomb. But seeing this film really shook things up. You got the damn when he kills him. He kills him the first time he meets him. Nicole said to me, that's where the movie should have stopped. I'm like, yeah, isn't it messed up? He murders him the first time he sees him.
There's no remorse. There's no remorse.
I was sitting on the couch and he kills the monster. I'm like, oh, well, oh, great. Movie's done. That was easy.
It would have been better had the pacing been faster, but they drug that scene out. They let it sit, stagnate, and drip, watching him slowly squeal into the ground. and then even after he was just a pile of clothes, you would think he's going to like jump up and put him under the bed right away. But no, he just lays there cold-blooded and goes, damn. And then eventually he gets up and pokes him and moves him. It's like, what the hell? What is this movie doing? But yeah, between that and like, I stopped counting shit after probably 9 shits, I think, or 10 shits. And yeah, there's just swearing galore. There's really disturbing imagery. It's an interesting kids movie with very interesting horror elements. Like that scene where he's walking towards boy's staircase to get the ball, and there's just that like creepy like statue winged thing. Yeah, cherub with the baby doll's head stuck on the top of it. It's like, what the hell is this movie trying to do?
This movie doesn't know what it wanted to be.
No, exactly. It doesn't. The movie, I would say, okay, the first 5-10 minutes where he's nestling into his new life, everything up until he switches rooms with his brother is actually pretty okay paced and pretty decent, with the exception of the scene where the dad goes in to give the son the flashlight, because that scene just feels weird and acted poorly. It really pulled me out, but everything up to the point where you actually see Fred Savage in his brother's room, hear the monster for the first time, all that up to that was okay movie making. But then it just gets awkward and strange afterwards. Cinematography changes. The scene where all the kids are being yelled at by their parents, it's like, what is the... It's the strangest cut. I don't know. There's some jarring stuff for sure for me.
Well, it's the guilt. It's to make sure that kids don't lose sight that your actions have consequences.
True.
And that if you're going to use your actions to make somebody else have a miserable life, make sure that you know that you are being a really big jerk and this isn't good.
Yeah.
And don't pee in somebody's apple juice no matter how much of a jerk they are.
To that point, that is the scene for me that stuck out the most. And I know we had alluded to this in the other half of things, but God, the child acting. I read somewhere online, and I completely understand and completely stand behind what this person said. They said if there was ever a case of a child actor pulling off a part for a paycheck, it's Fred Savage in Little Monsters.
You think so?
Is it Fred or the actor who played Eric? Because the movie leans on Eric really hard.
It does. The problem I have, and I've seen this echoed in a few reviews that I read just to see what other people thought, Howie Mandel is bouncing off the walls, giving it, I think somebody said like 500%, and Fred Savage is giving him absolutely nothing to work with. And that scene with the fridge, for me, was the most stilted and awkward one. You can tell in that scene where Howie Mandel's just being like, oh, I'm just gonna do crazy shit. And Fred Savage is next to him. Fred Savage doesn't know what to do. And he's not knowing what to do as a kid in a movie. I'm looking at that scene as, wow, this is pulling me out because I'm literally looking at Fred Savage kind of stuck next to Howie Mandel just going crazy, drinking apple juice and being crazy and burping. And he's ad-libbing, trying to say things that are silly and funny, but he doesn't know what the hell to do next to this guy. And that's how I felt for the rest of the movie.
And really, what are you supposed to do with that?
I don't know. There's other movies that work out just fine with that, but the chemistry was so off. So off.
Those two do not feel like best buds.
No. No.
But he said he was his best friend in the very first 5 minutes of the movie.
He gave him his jacket. Do best friends murder you the first time they meet you?
Yeah.
Is that the code for best friends? I don't know. That's all I have to say on that. Just the chemistry is so far off on those two.
I mean, you're not wrong. It just feels, the longer that they're on screen together, the more awkward it gets.
Yeah.
Until Fred is on screen with other actors that are not Howie.
Yes. It's like when he's around adults, it's awkward. Even like the conversations with his parents, it's just kind of like he's overacting in a way.
Yep.
But then when he's around other kids, he's just fine. It's fine. It's okay.
Like his reaction to his parents saying that they are going to take a break from
Oh
each
my
other.
god, the separation. Yeah, the separation scene. It's like he was stone cold, like he had no real emotions to it.
I mean, you could say
He's
that
more annoyed.
The coldness comes from him becoming more of a monster and less of a kid.
True.
That could be the defense, but it's such a weak defense. Like,
yeah, he just seems more annoyed of it than actually being upset by it. He's not sad. He's not angry. He's just like, darn! Where it's like somebody said, hey buddy, we're not going to be able to go to the ice cream store because it shut down early. It's past 6 o'clock. Like, that's the kind of reaction he had. Like, oh, darn. Can't believe this is happening.
Can't believe this
Shoot.
is happening. Yep. I don't know. I mean, can I fault him for being a child and acting...
Not being an amazing actor?
Not being an amazing actor and acting as he's being told by his director and producers who decided that this was a good idea. Well, like I said, when we were discussing this movie after, my immediate reaction, this movie plays out like a young reader's book with how stilted and rigid. Like, I knew exactly what was going to be happening as the plot progressed.
No, I completely stand by that. It feels like a Goosebumps movie or a Goosebumps book brought out into a movie. It for sure feels that way.
Yeah, but see, Goosebumps books were, good. This isn't.
It's because you're reading them as a child, not as an adult.
You read Goosebumps books, you little baby. God.
Yeah? I mean, I read Goosebumps books, which led me to Stephen King. So, I was reading King in 6th grade.
I read The Stand in the 6th grade.
Yep, I did too. The full version.
Teachers never really give you weird looks until you start coming in with that book every day and they watch the bookmark move.
Yep.
Nice.
Darn Quixote.
Ken, we weren't as fancy as you.
Yeah, Ken.
We want to talk about books that really messed you up as a kid. The Giver.
Oh, yeah.
I read that way too early. I read that in 5th grade. Man, that messed me up for a good couple days.
I could see that. That's for sure.
And then they made that god-awful movie, and it made me angry because it was just so bad.
Not even Jeff Daniels could save that film.
Nope. Nothing could save that film. Nothing.
What about an angry Marv?
Yeah, Marv was really pissy this movie. Really pissy.
He had a lot of things up his craw because he couldn't watch his stupid baseball and basketball game at the same time.
He didn't want to help his wife with the new
Well, he
house.
could. He just had to sit close.
Yeah, because this damn remote thing is missing.
You guys don't remember the time before remotes, huh?
No,
Nope.
I've been spoiled. I've never had
Never
to
had
look
that.
for the clicker.
When you had to spin the UHF dial and the VHF dial to try and pull in the signal.
What?
No,
UHF
that
is a
was-
movie.
That was my first TV. It was beautiful.
UHF's a movie, Joe. You're confused.
Yeah.
I mean, we had TVs that had that, but they also had remotes, so I didn't have to, go and futz with those things. Like, they sat where they sat, and then we just used the remote.
I was the youngest child, so I was the one that had to stand next to the TV and hold the antenna because I conducted the image better.
That's what they say.
And I was the littlest. Yeah.
Could have used aluminum foil, but no. They decided to use a Joe because Joe wouldn't sit still. This is how you keep Joe from being in front of the TV.
I was that kid, too. Okay. Howie Mandel's horns pissed me off because they're not horns. If it's
They were
floppy
so
and
rubber.
rubber, yeah, if it's floppy,
Oh,
it's not a
yeah.
horn, damn it.
They are definitely... They were latex horns, but they didn't take the time to fill them. They were hollow.
Yup.
Like, you know how to fix that? Cotton. Like
Anything.
a
Effort,
hand towel
really.
What?
would fix that.
Yeah. All right, I got the big land mass moving my way to discuss, and I just want to make sure everybody's got all their negatives out of the way before I gobble up too much time with this one.
Okay, I'll squeeze some in then before you do that. When the movie started, for me, it felt like I was watching a Christian film.
Yep.
It just oozed Christian film that was going to teach me a Jesus moral.
And then the monsters showed up.
Yeah. And then it changes later, and that feeling goes away.
I guess, is that a bad, or is that a good? I feel like that's a good, that it subverted your expectations.
It's always fun when something subverts expectations, but not in this movie.
No, I guess
not
not.
in this movie.
They're going for the fact that the parents would sit down and watch the movie for the first 15 minutes of it, be like, hey, this is a good movie, we'll get up and go do something else, and then the kids would be able to watch this movie the rest of the way through with all of its weird bullshit.
As it goes, shit, 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 shit. Okay, kids, round 2. Shit, 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 shit.
Bitch.
Shit. And all the kids are like, shit.
Bitch.
I just drove up our rating for the episode by saying shit so many times.
Oh, we're PG now, huh? Actually, what was this movie rated?
Yeah, we're going PG. Nice fucking model. Honk, honk. Oh, God.
I got upset about the little girl's hat because I know for a fact that no kid at that year on that date would ever wear their hat to the side like that. That kid wore their hat like that because their parent came in and said, here you go, now you look cool. And it's like, no, wearing your hat sideways like that is not cool. Thanks, parent.
I remember when that was cool.
It was
Never cool. It was just parents telling you it was cool. So in the trash compactor scene equivalency,
The stuffed animal dungeon?
Yeah.
Yes.
they're having a regular conversation, and Maurice comes in, they talk, and then I don't know what the hell happened, if they forgot to shoot something, or if something went horribly, horribly bad, and they couldn't go back and fix it, but the conversation takes this really weird, hard turn where the girl says, you can use the phone to make a light with pencils.
Yeah, that kind of came out of nowhere.
Yes.
What the hell happened?
I'm glad I wasn't the only one who missed
This
that.
movie's not good for continuity. Brian says that thing, about, he says that thing when Maurice pulls down his pants. He's like, nobody ever sees me in my boxers, not even my mom. But he's running around in his fucking boxers in the beginning of the movie in front of his mom. Like, the continuity in this movie is not something that they should take pride on. There are definitely some
And why
errors.
did that whole scene just get forgotten? Like, that's a horribly embarrassing thing for a kid. And he's just like, hey, why'd you do that? All right, we're fighting again. Do, do, do.
Oh, because we're going there. We're going there. Truck's pulling into the station. I'm telling you.
All right, go ahead.
Oh, God. Okay. There's a scene that stuck out to me, and I mentioned it earlier, and it bothered me to the point where I looked it up 3 times to make sure that I heard the wording correctly, because out of context, it didn't make any sense. And even in context, it still bothered me. That scene with the child, where you first meet Snick, and Snick comes down smoking, taking a drag off a cigarette, and then harasses that little kid at the bottom of the stairs. The exact quotes, as I said earlier, were, when boy asks you for a favor, you should take it as a compliment. And then the kid says, but my knees hurt. And he said, oh, your knees hurt. That's not the only thing that's gonna hurt. And then they get into the whole conversation about it. But what the fuck does any of that mean, and what does it come down to? Why? And then I went down the rabbit hole last night and realized that there are very lengthy theories about how this movie is actually a stand-in and basically it deals with pedophilia on a large level. Like, it really takes it on the nose. And looking back at some scenes, I could absolutely get on that train. But I know that wasn't the intent when the movie was filmed. But dear God, there's some stuff that's really hard to ignore. Like, why doesn't boy just learn to go play with himself? The comment about, the right hand being man's best friend or whatever, and then how he starts kissing and licking it. Like, what? There's a lot of stuff that could play into it for sure. And I'm trying not to go diving off the crazy cliff here, but that scene, there's really no explanation for that scene.
You're right. There's a lot of subtext in this movie that is really uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. And that's really what they dig into, is the fact that if you look at the film as a larger whole, the monster world is like the land of pedophilia, and they drag Fred Savage in, and he gets involved with it, and blah, 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 blah. But then when they start harassing the baby, that's the turning point where he realizes, wait, no, this is really wrong, and I can't do this. And it's an interesting few reads that I went through a few threads and jumped through all this, and it's just... it made the film in a more negative light than just it being a bad film for me. And I'm trying to separate myself from that because obviously it's all hearsay, it's all speculation what you think of. But I still, for the life of me, tried 3 or 4 times to watch that scene and try finding any other context in which it would just be like a funny joke or something. But no, he's talking about using his leather-clad black hands to hurt the child, and he thinks it's amazing that the kid's scared of him, and like it makes him happy that the kid's scared of him, and all this other shit. It's just like there's nothing funny about this scene, and it doesn't really set anything up. It doesn't set up that boy's. Yeah, I guess it sets up that boy's evil, but if anything, it comes off so
Wrong.
unbelievably creepy. Yeah. I tried several times for context to understand why he just shouts, but my knees hurt. He's not on his knees when Snick goes to talk to him. Snick doesn't pull him, essentially. He grabs him by the scuff and pulls him up. So he's not on his knees at that point. He's holding him up. So why does he have the throwaway line of, but my knees hurt, after talking about not performing some sort of favor for boy? That bothered the hell out of me. And I am still sitting here, 24 hours after watching the film for the first time, trying to understand how that scene fits in with the rest of the movie. I'm so confused.
Now, I'm not going to say that I know what he's talking about, because I don't.
I wish you did.
If I'm looking for the most innocent interpretation, it would be that let's look at the toys that are lining the hall to Boy's chamber.
Rocking horses.
He has a bunch of old school toys.
Yeah.
That are not battery powered and stuff like that. These are toys that you need to physically move. You need to interact with on a like very close case. Now, when I'm young and I'm playing with toys like that as a kid, you played on your hands and knees. So me squeezing the fruit for all it's worth to try and find the most innocent way to interpret that is that boy wants to play with these toys, and this kid has been playing with these toys for so long that his knees hurt because you have to get down on your hands and knees. Now, does that sound reasonable?
Nope.
No. But that's what I could come up with.
That's at least something, because I tried. So that at least gives something.
But I see what you're saying. This could totally feed into a QAnon evidence that someone was crying out for people to notice the pedophilia lizard men circus that is Hollywood films.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that's just it. It's obviously a very fine line jumping off onto that train, but that is absolutely an interesting read that I just had to throw out there.
No, I can see the interpretation as an adult of that kind of aspect to this film, yeah. But let's think about the fact that those kids could keep running forever to try and get in front of the sun. They could just keep circling the globe to try and get ahead of it. So they would never have to turn into monsters in the end.
I mean, then we're getting into time. Let's not get into the time travel discussion now. We talk about how, like, nobody really cares about the fact that 2 boys managed to get to Malibu in less than 8 hours.
Oh yeah, the parents are baffled by that.
Baffled, yes.
For a kid film, I think that's a fun little tidbit for kids at the end of like, whoa, because California, as a kid from the Midwest, California is a freaking magical place, what we're told.
Yeah, everything always paints California as being amazing. I mean, look at the Wiz, or the Wizard. Another Fred Savage plug. There we go.
Meanwhile, me as an adult, I'm looking at them pulling their clothes off and running towards the ocean. I'm like, no, not the Pacific Ocean, kids.
Not
Don't
today.
do it.
It is too gray for you to be doing that today.
This is how hypothermia happens.
It'll be fine.
But what about that bum sleeping on the beach? How is he not dead from exposure?
Oh, they took care of it. Those kids, how do you think they got the change to call their parents? They stabbed that hobo and took his money. They murdered that
poor hobo.
Well, yeah, then they can tauntaun him afterwards so they don't get hypothermia.
Yes. I do not approve of this use of homeless people. So
I agree.
While I laugh at this hilariously, homelessness is a big problem.
Absolutely.
But anyway, I thought the monsters in this film were very good at teaching kids libertarian values.
I can't argue that.
Got no one to tell you what to do. You can do whatever you want. All you got to do is do these few things. But other than that, it's a free for all.
A few things may be more morally suspect, but it's okay. Because there's no one to tell you that you're wrong.
Just remember going forward, if you sprinkle some Doritos next to your bed at night, maybe you too can hear Howie Mandel slurping away under your bed.
I forgot how plain, like, pre-95 Doritos were before they turned to their, like, nuclear red color.
Yeah, they look like just standard tortilla chips. It's like, that's right.
They're just regular tortilla chips, and I'm like, holy shit.
At first, I thought they were, like, the first time they were pitching Cool Ranch.
I just thought they were regular taco chips.
Because I was like, are those Cool Ranch? They are, but when they did the close-up, I was like, oh, are those Cool Ranch? This would have been when they would have first came out.
So the movie was ahead of its time, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, they're Doritos. For those of us who have seen this movie before, has your opinion of it changed?
I don't know, Joe. Has it?
Yeah, Joe. Has it changed?
I couldn't remember if anyone said they watched it before.
I never watched it, and I'm sad that I did.
Okay, 100%, yeah, my opinion on this movie has changed from the last time I saw it. Well, the last time I saw it, I didn't care about so many things. I was a kid, and it played into my mind as a kid. Yeah, it worked just fine. It was okay. I didn't care. And I moved on. Obviously, never watched it again until today. Today, I watch it, and there's so little to take away from it. There's little dashes that are very cool, very unique, but not enough as a whole to keep me as an adult engaged. Nostalgia does not prop this up for me. And Maurice, that character feels like it was written for Robin Williams to do Robin Williams, and they didn't get him, and it feels very awkward as an adult watching.
I don't even think Robin Williams could salvage the Nightmare. No, this doesn't deserve Nightmare. This is just awful. No. This god-awful movie.
There's a lot of comparisons between this and Beetlejuice, and I think that's very fair. It's like a very less interesting Beetlejuice, and I have nothing else. Nothing else that hasn't been already said.
This movie, how did I explain, when I was explaining it to Katie, this movie was not entertaining. I did not feel like I'm better for seeing it, but there are bits and pieces, tiny pieces, that I wish they would have expanded upon, and had they done that, I think the movie might have been better.
So this movie, I'm fairly certain, was trying to be a kids movie. Mm-hmm. And in trying to be a kids movie, it tried to be a older person being cool with kids by trying to be edgy. And really what you're teaching kids with this movie is, it's okay to be an asshole. It's okay to get away with things and be jerks to people because they'll be your friends anyway.
Yeah, they pissed in a kid's apple juice.
That's a problem. Yeah, and then out of nowhere, that kid comes up to hang out in Monster World.
Yeah, and he's like suddenly good pals with everyone. No ill feeling.
We need muscle. We need one more person who is able to... I have no idea. Even though Fred Savage held his own in that introduction fight, like he was going to win that fight if it was not stopped by the principal.
Which I was really sad about.
I assume that's the
principal. I was really sad about because the principal came in on the screen for a split second. When I saw him, I thought, oh my god, is that Will Forte? And then I was like, this is too early of a movie for Will Forte. But he had the Will Forte face.
Way too early.
And I was just like, yay! And then it wasn't Will Forte, and I got sad.
Like ultimately, yeah, it's almost a problematic movie in my eyes, just because of the way it acts as a kids movie, teaching kids weird values.
It really does. It really does.
I would assume then the statement would be this movie does not hold up.
No, I wouldn't recommend this film to anyone.
I would not recommend this film to anyone.
And I'd never normally have that viewpoint.
If anyone says that the 80s were the best decade, I would say, watch Little Monsters, and you tell me that the 80s were so hot.
But they're done mining the 80s. They're out of material. Now they're mining the 90s. Did you guys see the trailer for Space Jam 2?
Oh.
Is this the first movie that we've watched that
we all unanimously
agree doesn't hold up and is not a good movie?
It's up there.
No, we've not liked movies before.
I would have to think we all agreed on
Beastmaster we were pretty unanimously against.
Season 3 hosts, not the season 2 or season 1 hosts.
I think Beastmaster.
I think we're more okay with Beastmaster than this movie,
we were okay with Beastmaster. We didn't enjoy it per se, but we didn't have anything negative saying we wouldn't recommend it to people.
Animal cruelty.
Animal abuse.
Oh, sure, because
was
dying animals, yeah.
high on that list.
And poorly constructed stilt houses.
Those were cool. I'm not
Oh,
giving
shut
that
up.
up. That was a cool village.
Beastmaster was bad in a good way. Like, there are things that you can make fun of. This movie is bad in a not good way. Like,
Yeah.
there are a
uncomfortable way,
lot of
actually.
things that made me question how this movie got made, and then realize that, yes, it was the 80s, and, you know, that was a wild time in cinema.
It sure as hell was.
Wild.
Yeah, it just feels like a movie that was trying to push the envelope of what they could get away with and
Pushed it too far.
trying to replicate Beetlejuice quite a bit because that was out just the year before. And they're like, oh, we can do some horror, we can make it towards kids, and we can, how about monsters? Monsters under the bed, that's a thing, right?
What do we got?
And
We
they
need somebody with high
think of
energy.
Monsters, Inc. Monsters, Inc. is an amazing way to handle that whole situation.
It is.
This
It is.
was an unfortunate way to handle that.
Yeah, no, I've seen comparisons to Monsters, Inc. and how Monsters, Inc. handles this film so much better.
So much better.
And I completely agree.
Indeed.
Yep.
Well, that was us scaring babies and turning into clothes while watching Little Monsters. Please like, rate, review, comment, subscribe, because if you don't do all those things, we stay at the bottom of the metrics. No one gets referenced our show, and we stay in oblivion.
Your knees are going to hurt anyway.
Boy gets what boy wants, so do it.
I'm really uncomfortable right now, Joe. That was really aggressive, man.
So next time, we will be rewinding the 1995 Mortal Kombat.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Get your britches wrapped up tight because this is going to knock them off.
Yeah. So come back in 2 weeks when we rewind again.
Okay, but for real though, I feel like us recording this episode is gonna put me on some kind of list.
I'm scared.
A little bit.
I'm scared.
I want off this ride.
Yep.
All right, let's exit.